I'm at RoofCon 2020, the second RoofCon ever, with Steve Patrick. This is the Level the Playing Field guru who has been doing this for how many years?
22 years.
I thought it was like 122, something like that.
Yeah.
No?
It seems like it sometimes.
Yeah. We've been hanging out quite a bit at some of these other conferences, and I always have a good time with Steve, especially when we go out to eat, because you seem to loosen up a little bit when we do that.
I didn't know I was tightened up otherwise.
You definitely, you know what? I take it back. He's not tight at all. So, you went to the first RoofCon though, didn't you?
I did not, because
This is
I
your first one?
actually had another event that was a conflict in schedules,
Mhm.
so I wasn't able to be here the first time.
So, what do you think about it so far?
It's a good event. It's unfortunate yesterday that the sound system was messed up. I'm sure that Hunter was very frustrated.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how frustrated he must have been with the sound system not working so well yesterday. So I know that they got that corrected.
Yeah, I went in there earlier today and tested it out, and it is a vast improvement. So there's plenty to work with there.
Lots of great people here, man. These are my
Yeah.
people, so we're having a wonderful time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice and small, so it's intimate. You can actually have real conversations.
Yeah.
They're not blaring music where we have to yell at each other, and it's not a big vendor fest where everybody is just being pushed wares upon. So
Exactly.
I've been enjoying it so far. So on your forums, though, it seems like every month you're posting something about the loss payable provision, and no one ever really seems to get it. So while I got you, maybe you can just verbally explain it, and maybe people will actually understand what you're talking about.
Sure. So every homeowner's policy and every commercial property policy, every one of them has a clause deep down in the bowels of the conditions of the policy called the loss settlement provision. And what the loss settlement provision says is that we will pay X. It's the place in the policy that describes what the insurance company owes and how much they're going to pay. It doesn't say we will pay Xactimate prices, we will pay a lowball amount. It doesn't say anything like that. And so you would do well to have your client look up the loss settlement provision to see what the insurance company promised to pay them. So I'm going to paraphrase for you what the typical policy language says. It says that we will pay your cost, the amount that you actually and necessarily spent, past tense, not to exceed policy limits. I'm paraphrasing, but that's 99% accurate to what it says. All right? So how much does the insurance company owe your clients? Their cost, the amount that they actually and necessarily spent, as long as it's not more than the policy limits. Of course, they're not going to pay more than policy limits. All right? So let's say that...
I don't know. They're really friendly people. I think that they might if you ask them nicely.
If you ask them nicely.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're at, a typical residential storm loss, and you're at 30,000 and the carrier's at 20. What you do is you finance the deal from the beginning. You say, Mrs. Jones, would you like for this to be a hassle-free process for you? Yes, I would. So you pull out your phone, you pull up the financing app, you have them take 2 minutes, apply for financing, boom, she's approved. The check is coming to you in your name, to your mailbox. You schedule the work, you do the work. How much does the insurance company owe now? The amount that she actually and necessarily spent, her cost, which in this case was $30,000. How do we know that that's how much she owes? Because the policy says so. What if they elect not to pay? Then what you do is everything that I'm talking about here is predicated on the fact that you have established trust with your client and that you've set expectations. You've explained all of this to her so that she knows what to expect. And then you say, Mrs. Jones, since they're not wanting to pay you, what I'm going to do is file a lien on your property for you. You're not filing a lien on her property against her. You're filing the lien on her property for her. Once the lien has been filed, then you could even send the letter your intention to lien. Mrs. Jones can then throw an absolute wall-eyed fit, a snot-flying fit, that now I'm going to have a lien on my property because you're refusing to indemnify me. Am I going to have to sue you to get this lien released? Boom. Now they pay what they owe. The amount that they promised in the loss settlement provision. So that's how that works. I post this settlement provision on the forum about once a month, and people don't seem to get it.
Yeah, well, they're all stuck with the individual argument. Every line item has to be argued individually. In reality, all you have to do is prove that something is necessary in order to qualify under that loss settlement provision.
Your cost.
Right.
It doesn't say unless you can't provide individual line item pricing. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
It says your cost.
Right.
The amount that you actually and necessarily spent.
And if they
That's what
disagree
they
with
owe.
that amount, they have the appraisal provision to help them. So if they disagree with that necessary amount, they can file for appraisal.
There you go.
That way you don't have to do it every time. Really, that was designed for them, not for
Yes.
the contractor or the policy.
Well, they originally inserted the appraisal clause so that the carrier,
Right.
when they're stuck with someone who doesn't just lay down to their pricing, they can then gain momentum using the appraisal clause.
So when they say, hey, well, we have a contractor that can do it for this price, why are you using that price gouging contractor?
Because this is the amount that we actually and necessarily spent. We didn't spend $20,000 with that contractor. We spent $30,000 with this one.
Is it
And
better
here's
for
the-
them to have stroked the check for that amount already and prove it?
No, when you receive the check from the finance company, they have spent it.
Oh, that's right. You had the finance.
It's
company involved.
incurred before you actually even do the work. So you receive the check from the finance company in your name to your mailbox. You schedule the work. At the moment that you receive the check in the mail, that is incurred. The client has now spent the money because you have the check in hand.
I mean, if you have any more questions on this, you can always post in the comments of below this section of the video. I'm going to post this on his forum as well because I post everything on his forum. It's a fantastic forum. But I'm sure you're still going to have questions all the time for Steve. Very knowledgeable man, and he really brings it down to earth. If you want to understand how things actually work with layman's terms, I don't know of a better person to go to. So thanks again, Steve.
You're
I really
very kind,
appreciate it. Have a good day.
Y'all have a good day.
Hey, if you're getting a lot out of these videos, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notifications whenever a new video comes out, and share this with as many people as you can. We want to make sure that policyholders are being taken care of a little bit better. We need to educate everyone in this industry on how to deal with the insurance carriers. And if any of these situations has happened to you, make sure to tell us about it in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. Like and share.